Great. So I guess we'll just get started. Go ahead, Casson. You get the preamble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's our code of conduct. Some good stuff right there. And then you can find all of our study groups on our YouTube channel, or you can go to our integration quests if you missed a study group or you want to, check out our other ones.
Or if you ask a really good question in this one and you want all your friends to know, you can send them a link to that and they'll see the video.
Exactly. Yeah. It's good stuff. Ryan, he's the speaker today. He's CTO of Integration Quest, and he's been a certified trainer since 2013. He's been in the business for 25 years, 15 years in the MuleSoft ecosystem. He's highly certified.
And those are at the end. The question and answer the whole time through. And I will be at Trailblazer DX, which is in San Francisco in 1 month. So come high five me there. It's there's a hackathon the day before Trailblazer DX. So I can't win. But you can come be on my team and we can just make a cool something. But if you work for Salesforce in any way, you're not allowed to win the hackathon. So it would just be for fun. But I had fun at last year's hackathon, and we made a Salesforce, like an agent thing that lets you chat and change your price, your discount predictions, because there was a guy there who knew a bunch about. I learned a bunch about retail Salesforce stuff like that, or what was it like the people who sell like bulk goods to Walmart and like toilet paper and stuff, right? So we had to predict discount cycles on stuff like that. It was pretty neat. And so you learn stuff just coding with other engineers. The guy I ended up coding with was from like Accenture in I guess the Netherlands. So you're never going to meet these people. So come join me at the hackathon the day before Trailblazer DX. Awesome. Yeah. So I guess I'll take the screen over and we'll get into it. The topic for today is Anypoint Platform pricing and entitlements, which is actually confusing. I'm sorry to say, Chris and Cody, it's not that simple for people to understand. So I did a little research before the study group and found everything I could find that's public about this. So I'm going to put these links in the chat, and Caston or RJ will make sure that the links make it to the YouTube comments. So if you're watching this as a video, the first thing I found here, this is the only place, Chris, that I could find these 3 packages documented anywhere online, is this page on salesforce.com pricing, where you see integration starter, integration advanced, API management. So just for part of for my history with MuleSoft, long time ago, the only way to buy MuleSoft was this gold and platinum and titanium type of metals thing, right? And so that's also public. So there's a page. This is called on Salesforce, the MuleSoft subscription plan. This one doesn't say anything about starter and advanced and anything. This just says these kind of subscription plans. So I'm going to put that in the chat, and then what we'll dig into is really there's really a couple of ways people buy MuleSoft, which is by capacity, and I have a organization that I can log into that has a capacity license. It doesn't say the gold or titanium or anything. This one says developer free because I got it as a community member. But anyway, it's at least it has vCores. You see, there's this thing called vCores, and then I have another subscription I can log into later in the session that's not on vCores. It's on this consumption-based licensing. So I just gathered a bunch of materials. I figured we could get together and learn about it. So just any comments, or maybe you can shine some light on this, Chris, about why there's these different words for what to buy.
Yeah, and in terms of reference here, I would also recommend just using Gemini or AI. Use Google AI mode, and it does a good job of putting things in context and gathering additional information outside of our, just the Salesforce sites. So, you can ask it questions like, more detailed questions that it would just take you a much longer time to dig through the different documentation.
Yeah, and I found a lot of these links, not Gemini, but it was one of the AIs. For sure, they're very good at digging stuff up. I do like when I use an AI, See, it even says UTM sources chatgpt.com on my links. See that? But I always make the AI prove what it tells me. But
Right.
now give me a link to something that I can read with my own eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could dig into. Let's go to this. There's this. It's weird on this page. It has a link for subscription plans for customer purchases under Salesforce order forms, and then another link, subscription plans for customer purchases under MuleSoft order forms. I don't know why there's two there. And when I click on them, they don't look any different to me, but I haven't really dug in. Is there a reason that there's two here? Do you have any idea?
That's probably based on the history. If you had purchased MuleSoft on a contract that was before, outside of Salesforce, that would be my guess. I'm not familiar with that, but
it doesn't matter. Is that
I don't think it matters. Yeah, it's like the licensing model is what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to log in to mine, and we can see if we can learn something about the two different plans here. So this is all of my MuleSoft licenses, just to be transparent to everybody, cost me $0. So it's not exactly perfect example for you guys, but I did get quite a bit of the different entitlements that we might need to look at for your licenses, because I had to do some stuff with the Anypoint, the agent fabric and the agent broker, and so I had to get all these entitlements to make that work. So it turns out I have a bunch of them. This one says I have a customer integration advanced on it, as if I paid for that, even though it's a partner license.
Sure.
And it's counted in terms of flows and messages and data throughput. Right. And this is what as far as I know, this is what MuleSoft is selling all new customers have a license like this.
We can still sell under the vCore-based licensing. So, and it's common under the public sector, because public sector, they don't like surprises, right? So, but the important metrics here, if you look at this, that previous screen, in terms of flows and message, this one, the lowest common denominator is your flows. And that is because you don't draw upon a bucket that can be, you see your spikes in seasonal usage and things like that. The flows are going to be calculated by month. So it's common. That's your lowest common denominator, where the flows are going to be calculated based on the peak hourly usage for any given month. And that's going to be your high watermark. That's going to be calculated, right? So, and that's going to be across, so just digging into that a little bit deeper here is when you look at the number of flows, it's across production, pre-production, all replicas or workers. And so it's just the number of flows, right? And that does not include private flows or subflows. So, if you want to minimize, do best practice in terms of managing the number of flows that you're being charged for, you want to use, do that, and this also follows the spirit of MuleSoft, where you're going to want to maximize the number of your reuse through flows and subflow, or private flows and subflows.
Yeah. And I was just trying to pull up Anypoint Studio. I'm having an issue with my Anypoint Studio for study group, but there's a little tool in there called Flow Count that'll let you count the ones that are billable.
So the difference here is that what you're doing here is you're looking at the number of flows in this application, but it's during design time, right? What the previous screen is that you're looking at the number of flows that are during runtime.
Yeah, and it's the high watermark you said we're going to get billed for. So my organization, I guess I have what does it say, 230? 230. It looks like it said 230 flows. If I deploy 231, do you know what happens?
Yes, depending on your contract, if we do have some contracts available in the public sector for this usage-based license or capacity-based licensing model that they're not charged. They're just a point of discussion upon renewal.
Yeah.
But most contracts, like in the private sector, you're going to be charged for that.
It'll be okay. So it doesn't stop, because back on vCores, I like literally couldn't deploy.
Yeah.
If I ran out of vCores, it wouldn't even let me deploy my code at all, and I'd have to call my account rep. So now it's more like other like hyperscalers, right? Where I can deploy more, and I'm just going to either get charged for it, or it has to be a sales conversation at that point if it's public sector. You said.
Yeah, and you can't put you can't put a ceiling on there though, so that it's not going to go above that.
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how to do that. Is that something we'd have to look up, or?
Yeah, we'd have to look that up. But you can set it up where you do have a cap.
That's cool. Yeah. I'd have to. I'm gonna have to take a note for that one and learn how to, because I don't know how to do that myself.
Yeah, and you're going to be warned. You're going to be warned. The admin will get emails notifying that you're getting close to your cap.
Yeah. So flows are the big one. There's a like how much different code you have deployed. So then there's this other limit of messages and data throughput. And I sometimes in my architecture classes, I hear more about those limits than my flows. I have a client in my consulting who ran into their message limit like immediately, because they're doing some kind of Amazon Kinesis streaming app or something like that. Because I used to tell people, there's so many messages, you're never going to run out. And now I have to be careful and not say that, because I had students who ran out.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I usually don't have customers that hit that, but I can see where you might have different architecture or systems that you're integrating with you would hit that for sure.
Yeah, so you'd have to you could there are ways that you might redesign your applications if that's the case, right? Paging or so. I don't know what you're going to do about data throughput. I guess now if that comes up sometimes with the different layers, right? So if I have an experience API that calls a system API before, that means it's going to count a message, a flow and a message at each layer on the way through the system. I don't advise my students to go point to point because of that, but that's that people think that it kind of leads them that direction.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I guess we could, since this is the study group about all of the different licensing models, those are the primary. That's how much you're buying, and so can we go maybe just explain in general, what am I buying? Because on Amazon, for example, I just put my credit card and it bills me, and that's not how MuleSoft works, right?
Right. So it's basically you have these subscription tiers, and with the different subscription tiers, you're with all tiers, you're provided with everything you need to run your Mule applications, right? And you're provided with all the networking environment, the firewalls, the routers, you get more with the advanced licensing model, just like you would get with the Titanium level. You get additional reporting capabilities and aggregate logging and all that. But the real focus, of course, the thing to keep in mind is that with the real focus with MuleSoft is looking at integration strategically to where you want to maximize the amount of reuse, reduce your total cost of ownership for all the integration work that you're doing. That's the spirit of what the MuleSoft. So as we moved into the PaaS environment or PaaS solution, it's not just about providing that network environment, but also provide all the tooling that allows you to develop that API-led architecture and maximize the amount of reuse and reduce your cost of integration. So, but given all that, the metrics in terms of capacity consumption, focusing on usage based or consumption based licensing, since that's really the topic here, versus the comparison to the vCore or capacity based licensing model. you do get, you after you purchase that initial platform with all the capabilities to do the, focus on the full API lifecycle, you purchase additional vCores under the old licensing model, and then flows and messages and data through the new licensing model.
Yeah, and so part of our audience is going to be sophisticated, like experienced MuleSoft people. Some of our audience is they're brand new. So I just want to like, for the basics about the purchase is that you're buying in advance, right? You're not buying what you've already used. You're paying, you sign a subscription up front, even if the net terms, I think one time I bought it and my net terms were like net 60, but I got my subscription in March. My bill was due in like May, but then I was paid all the way up till the next March, right? Yeah. And what I get is this, either, like you said, like I either get a number of vCores or I get a number of flows. Even if I don't have anything deployed, I've already paid in advance to have that much ability to deploy software, right? And use all the tooling around it.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with you're provided with all that environment for reporting and capturing the metrics and the development environment. Of course, now we have AI built into our development tools. So you're getting that for free with the platform now as well. So, and we can cover that at another time, but that's another big part of our platform is the whole agent fabric and AI capabilities and Vibes. Yeah.
So wait,
I know with this a lot. Very cool.
Vibes does not require a Salesforce Einstein license. It's just MuleSoft.
It's included, yeah. So when you purchase MuleSoft, you get what we do on the sales side is we create a $0 line item in the bill of materials that allows for, essentially we'll stand up an instance of an Einstein enabled Salesforce org, and that's $0 to you. But we have a couple other line items in there, but the key is that the real key there is that that Einstein enabled Salesforce org that you connect up to your Anypoint platform. So when you log into, Code Builder, which is the Visual Studio version of Anypoint Studio, when you log in, you connect into the Anypoint platform. The Anypoint platform acts as a proxy to Einstein. So any type of natural language request that you put inside of Vibes will go through the Anypoint platform to Einstein, and then Einstein comes back and tells it, it has all that trust layer and everything. So you're not sharing any of your development secrets or anything like that with any other part of the AI world, right? Yeah. So
I would have liked to pull it up and try it, but I don't think I don't have Code Builder set up for Vibes right now. So that's Copilot down there, right? So where would I find Vibes? Do you guys know? Anybody?
You would have to install the extension. It doesn't look like you have the extension installed there.
I don't have the extension for Vibes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll save it. That's not the study group anyway, but that's good. I actually didn't know that. So I learned something, that the token usage and everything on the back end comes part of your MuleSoft license.
It does.
That's great.
Great. And it's right now it's only available in our commercial offering. We don't have it in the GovCloud offering.
Yeah, the commercial offering. But even if so, one of my clients is a government agency, but they have the commercial version, so they would have Vibes.
Absolutely. I've actually, I work in public sector now, but I sell probably more commercial than I do GovCloud.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's cool. All right. So there's more entitlements, I guess we could. So down here at the bottom, I've got a few of these entitlements listed. So we've got network entitlements, and there's purchased separately, right?
Yep. Well, those are included. So you get, now depending on whether you go with the beginner or advanced. Yeah. So the advanced has 2 VPCs. So you get 2 VPNs, I think 2 VPNs per VPC.
Yeah. Yeah. Advanced has, and so there's a certain amount of entitlements that come for free for that entitlement, the VPC, right? And some entitlements, like these managed flex gateways, you don't get any for free, but you can buy them as many as you want, right, for the year.
Yep.
So that's a long list of entitlements. I don't know if we want to go. It might be a long. If we went through everything on here, that'd be a lot of different possible entitlements. So usually the way people would figure out what entitlements they need is, how would that work?
I'm sorry, Ryan. So the question is, how do they figure out what they purchased?
Well, there's add-ons, like besides your capacity of your flows or your vCores. I might need VPCs. I might need partner manager. I might need managed flex gateways. Right.
Good.
So
Okay, yeah. So
or API governance.
Yep. So you get the you get that usage report you have available that you were showing there in the Anypoint platform to kind of show you where you're at. But you also have, like this, and this is a good page there to look at what you have.
Okay, this one here.
Because sometimes it's like the people in procurement are, they're a different world, right? Than the people who are going to be using it. So you're not really sure what you actually purchased. But this is a good page here. You can go in and look at everything that you could potentially own. Some of the key things that that are different though with the additional things that you can add on are going to be APIs under governance.
Yeah.
And that's the API governance capability, which is focused on making sure your APIs follow best practices. You compare it against rule sets, security, things like that.
Yep.
And then APIs under management, and that would be using API Manager. And so with each of those, you get with API Manager, you get 10 in prod, 10 in pre-prod. And then API governance, you just get that's really just focused on looking at exchange. Yeah. So there's no notion of pre-prod and prod. So it's just you get 10 APIs under governance.
And that's for profiles. I ran over that limit once. I do see in the usage report the APIs, maximum number of API managed here. But it wasn't back in access management. It's like I have to go to usage report to see is that right? Or I don't know if I missed it. Yeah. Okay. And this is prod versus pre-prod. Right. Yeah. So I have 12 pre-prod, but no prod. Right.
Okay.
And how do I know how many I bought?
That's going to be under. They move this around on me. So
yeah, I have trouble. The reason I ask is because I have not found where to see how many I bought except for on my invoice. So that's why if I don't know if it's in here and I just don't know where it is.
Yeah. Let me check real quick here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can have entitlements of how many APIs under management, and that's what the usage report was just kind of looking at. And then so that's this API manager, and it's counting. So this is how much I'm using, and then somewhere we're going to figure out either or we won't. It might not be possible to see how many I bought, or if it is, Chris will figure that out. And then API governance is this one, and I'm not using any because it's expensive. I would have had to pay for the overage on that one. I don't mean expensive like that. There was a question in the chat about, can we talk about pricing? I think we agreed not to talk about actual pricing dollars in this study group. It's more just what the catalog has in it. So this is my API governance. I would get billed if I created a governance profile and then like this, and then however many APIs I include in the governance profile, it's going to charge me it's the peak per month, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. The highest amount that I have governed every month.
Yep. Yeah. So if you go, it says it's under access management, and then you can get to subscription, depending on what UI version you're working with here. So I think for you it would be under subscription. Is there an option under?
I can't click that.
Yep.
It's just these three.
Okay, and then runtime manager. But that doesn't show the number of APIs under manager, huh?
No, I think that I think it might be that I have the wrong, because it could, it's always could be because I have a partner account. I don't know if I get the same, but on this one too, this is my developer account. I also don't have that number on here.
Yeah. And under business group there, choose. Okay, so you're at the parent.
I'm at the top. Yeah, maybe it's in here somewhere. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know where it is. There's another entitlement that I did want to, before I know you guys might, I don't know if you were limited at exactly half an hour, but there's this magical word called titanium that means all this monitoring stuff. Can you shed some light on titanium?
Yeah, you bet. So you get more frequent updates to your metrics that are captured, and you get some additional capabilities within to develop custom reports and custom metrics. Like if you want to track some business metrics, and they'll be outside of the traditional metrics that are captured, like latency, things like that. But my favorite feature with Titanium, and probably the reason why it comes up, why there's an additional uplift in terms of the price point, is that it provides the aggregate logging. So it gathers all of your logs and provides that the ability to search across all of your logs. So if you're familiar with looking at and trying to debug different issues that are going on in your logs, traditionally you would have to go into each individual application and runtime manager and look at the logs there. This here provides that aggregate log search across all of your different all of your different ones. So we added some new recent capabilities here within within the Anypoint platform that allows you to use AI to search across all the metrics and logs. So you use natural language to say, hey, what's going on with this application? So in other words, where it used to be upon the developer or the operations person to go in and look to all the different logs, look at the metrics, kind of figure out what's going on in an application, you can just use natural language to go in and do that.
Really?
Yeah. So that's
so right, like now I don't have to do it. I could, because do I have that?
Oh. It may not be available to you here yet, but it's called Diagnostics Agent. So it's an AI tool that basically allows you to do diagnostics, and it sits on top of, and it looks at it's called an agent because it's truly just an agent that sits in the Anypoint platform. It looks at your natural language request, converts that into API calls that do searches into the metrics and the logs to pull and surface that information, gets the results of that, and then converts the results of that into natural language. So so diagnostics agent, if you don't have it here, maybe because you have to it may not. I
may have to turn it on or something, or maybe I don't know if maybe I don't have the right titanium or something like that.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Diagnostics Agent. So if anybody in the chat, in the audience checks on your subscription and you see that, I'd love to see a screenshot or something. Oh, okay. Shravan says I need to go to Runtime Manager and then Applications and then select my application. So I'll just pick my referee and then go to Diagnostics. Oh, that's cool. Analyze and troubleshoot. What? Why is it grayed out? No, your organization doesn't. Okay.
You have to enable that. You have to connect up that $0 Einstein instance of Salesforce to that's why it's grayed out.
I think we're gonna have to have another study group about this. This is pretty awesome.
I love it.
Yeah. We so I think that the reason I brought up Titanium is I found when I was trying to do Agent Fabric, you have to have Titanium, including this visualizer part, and you have to have managed Flex gateways. Well, it looks like my account doesn't have access to see it. I'll have to turn that on. I have that on my other one. But in order to run Agent Fabric, you need those two entitlements. And so since this is the entitlement one, I wanted to highlight that.
Yeah, and I know we're bouncing around here a little bit, but that, so back to Titanium, I just wanted to highlight that. I'm sorry, but the diagnostics agent is a cool tool. I would definitely recommend that you get that set up in your environment, play around with that. It really helps you, reduce that mean time to resolution, identification resolution. But Titanium, the major reason for that, that uptick in the price is a lot of that infrastructure that's provided to do that aggregation of your logs across all your run times and provide it. So,
yeah, that, and of course, yeah, it's a whole time series database, and also I think the retention. So if I go to the runtime manager dashboards, the retention for these, the numbers that go behind these dashboards is without Titanium is a lot shorter, right? And then with Titanium, it's way longer, and you get more different metrics that get stored, right?
Yep. Now, with the open telemetry that we support now, and a lot of our customers have Splunk or Datadog, and Splunk is actually a customer of ours, but you may not need the aggregation of your logs because you're using other tools. So it's just something to keep in mind there.
So is telemetry exporter only a Titanium, or can everybody have telemetry exporter?
Good question. I think it's everybody.
Okay. Yeah. And I think the traces thing, where you could actually view the open telemetry results in, that one is not available unless you have Titanium. Or at least that didn't show up until I got Titanium on this account. So I'm assuming that it's.
Hey, Ryan, we are going to have to jump now, unfortunately, but we do appreciate you guys. Thank you for letting us jump on here.
Man, I really appreciate you guys joining and sharing with the community from the horse's mouth. It's been wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and looking forward to catching up soon, Ryan. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Cody. I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through the chat and see what kind of questions we had. We had a bunch. How do we get charged? Oh, I think I read some of these. When the messages are exceeded, I think he answered that one. That if it's like API governance, Sravan, how do we get charged when the messages are exceeded? You get a bill. It says, here's your usage report, and it's this much money. That happened to me for API governance, so I know it's possible. I don't know what happens in public sector, but so if you go over this number for the month. And then for API-led connectivity, does one transaction count as a single message, or each API layer count as a separate message? It is every layer, and it's what it is it's every time the message passes through a billable flow. So if I have any event source or a private flow that's part of API Kit, right at the front door of that flow, it counts as a message. So it's not a loop. Inside a loop, it won't be many messages or anything. We did the vibes thing. Diagnostic agent AI. Yeah, I do think that diagnostic agent would be a really fun study group. So if somebody wants to volunteer, you can contact me or RJ or Caston and get on, and we could have a study group about diagnostic agent. That'd be a lot of fun. I don't know if it has safeguards. So Sung Young asked, does the diagnostic agent AI include safeguards to reduce hallucinations? I don't know. That's going to be a great study group. I can't wait to learn that one. Cool. All right. What else? I think we did. We didn't do MQ. We didn't talk about MQ or object store. So these are entitlements that are kind of like they've always been consumption based before and after. So no matter what kind of license, you're going to pay a certain amount for a certain number of MQ messages if you use Anypoint MQ. And for the object store, this is for Cloud Hub applications that are using object store in the cloud, the object store service. You have a certain number of a cap of messages per month. And then you also have a cap of messages per second, which is messages means reads or writes. So they all count towards your usage on the object store. So that's another entitlement you can increase on your subscription. Yeah, for it's Shravan says it's specific to the application. I agree. So I think, man, that's all the resources I found for this. What other questions do you guys want to ask about, or experiences would you like to share about being MuleSoft customers, buying the product? What common mistakes? So Sungyoung says, what common mistakes lead to higher MuleSoft costs? Any use cases? Yeah, I've seen a couple of silly things. If you overdo it and make too many different applications, you're going to end up spending a lot more MuleSoft money than you probably need to, because like for example, I've seen there's a deployment I was on recently where they had a million different process APIs for no reason. Like they could have just made one or two process APIs that had a bunch of flows in them, and that on a vCore license, that's going to cost you a lot. What's interesting is on a consumption license, the one on my screen, it's the same difference, because it's just counting how many flows you have. It doesn't care how many applications there are. So you might want to size your design for the type of license you have. Another one was the message counts. One of my clients, they're getting off of MuleSoft because they were exceeding their message counts, so they decided to start paging. So process 100 at a time instead of one at a time, and you have fewer messages. Right. So there's ways to kind of change your design a bit, just related to the cost. Anyone have any other? I guess another common mistake that leads to a higher MuleSoft cost is if you are not careful with API governance. So if you turn on, let's say you're playing around with governance, it's the peak for the month, right? So if you go in here and you make a governance profile, and let's say you have 100 APIs and you just you make a profile that covers all of your APIs, it's going to hit you with a bill at the end of the month. So be careful how many APIs you decide to govern with rule sets, or at least just make sure you know what you're getting into when you do that. So if I did this, if I click this all APIs, I better be ready for that. Right? That's gonna be pricey.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Ryan, I do have one thing that happened to me. It's a weird situation, but it's part of my Mule connector development, I guess, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I built a Mule connector. It had I kind of given it some kind of a capability to, produce an event like every 5-10 minutes ish. When I deployed it to the dev environment, I said, like, what, I kind of like give it like a checkbox kind of a thing. If you click on checkbox, it kind of produces the event on like for every second or so. So I didn't realize that it was deployed to when I was deploying to the dev environment. I didn't realize that checkmark was enabled, and it started to start pinging like so many flows. It had like 5 to 6 different APIs that are connected to it, and yeah, it started to count all of those things, and it was producing for every second-ish.
So many messages.
So many messages.
Oh no! Yeah,
I don't know what happened after that, but thankfully at the time I didn't know like it was being charged or it was like not being charged.
Did you so it was every second it was hitting many APIs. So
Yes.
It was one message per API.
Yes.
Oh,
Not one. It's like one message to the experience API, and the experience API hits the process and system APIs.
Every second. Did you get a bill?
The thing is, like, I didn't have access to the bill at the time, but I'm pretty sure it must have been like something big at the time.
Oh no! Yeah, I was very surprised. So old school MuleSoft, they separate they separate the prod and the pre-prod, and you have different prices. But now there's no difference. Now prod and pre-prod all cost. See, there was production and sandbox vCores, but there's no production and sandbox flows or production and sandbox messages. It's all in one.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a change, a big change.
One quick question, Ryan. When I'm coming into the screen, I'm always like confused. This mule message is the total 22 million that you're seeing. That's the upper bound of messages that we are part of my subscription, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Per month.
Per month. Yep, of course. The other day I was actually like looking at it and I thought like, wait, we used 22 million already? I'm like, oh, no.
No. But if you go, I think it'll let you go over, and then you just have to get a bill. So, yeah. Well, thank you. Go ahead.
And one more thing, it's about like the private spaces. So I for the week course and everything, we kind of like we actually get the private spaces that we actually pay for, right? So for the when we're talking about like flow based, how is that being charged? Do you know by any chance?
This is private spaces.
Yes, I was wondering like if it's like any kind of different from our vCore-based pricing for that.
No. The private space is the same as a VPC. So on my vCore license, I have VPCs, and it could be Cloud Hub 1 VPCs or Cloud Hub 2 private spaces. It's the same budget, right? And then if I go to my consumption license, it is not any different. It's the same thing.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Thanks everyone for coming by. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording.